right. All right, got a 1958 Chevy Impala convertible, owned by a customer of ours, good customer of ours. Brought it to us for a bunch of work. So I'm going to talk about the car, talk about what we did to it, and kind of give my opinion on it and see if we've got any questions. So anyways, gonna let it warm up here for a minute. The details: 283, single four barrel carb. It is a 3 on the tree, and it's a completely original car. Paint, interior. I don't know if you can see some of these seat covers covering up the original interior, but this is not your average 58 Impala. So I'm also going to do a quick stop at the gas station, get some fuel in this thing, and yeah, we'll be on our way. Lights. Yep, all the way up. Heat. All right. Put that on low. All right. Brake off. Let's go. So I'm just pulling out of our shop here, our new shop out in Bon Aqua, Tennessee. It's off 840, kind of in between Fairview and Dixon, if you're familiar with the area. If you're not familiar with the area, we're about an hour outside of Nashville. First road here, new cutoff road. It's a bumpy one, so hopefully it's not too bad on the camera. This is the first time doing this drive home. I think going forward I might make it the drive to work. Actually, my younger brother Zach, it was his idea, so got to give him some credit. Although nobody's watched it yet, so not really much credit to give yet, but hopefully. Honestly, he had the idea because I'm always sending him pictures and videos of different stuff that I'm driving, you know, whether it's my own cars, you know, cars that I've bought to resell, or customer cars. You know, we do a lot of work on unique classics, oddball stuff, and, you know, we got to put a lot of test miles on them, especially when we do the amount of work that we did to this car, which I'll get into. But yeah, this one seemed fitting. I had to drive it home tonight. 1, to put some test miles on it, and 2, to take it to the muffler shop tomorrow, get a muffler put on. We might hear in the video one of these mufflers on the driver's side. I think it's got a broken baffle, so there's quite a bit of rattling, just at certain RPM though. But the owner of this car is pretty particular, and we want it to be right for him. So. We do a lot at our shop, but exhaust work is not something that we do. So, turn these off. There's that rattle. I believe it's that muffler there. This is a tricky left, so hopefully we don't get anything on camera that nobody wants to see. There we go. Stop and get some gas, and we'll get back to the video. All right, we're back. Put it in neutral. There we go. Put some 90 octane ethanol free in it. Should be good. Let's see if we can get these dash lights to come on. All right. And we're off. So we're on Highway 100. This road goes from Centerville all the way into Nashville. I mean, it's 50 miles long, but it's a busy road. But we're just gonna take a right up here on Pinewood Road, or Highway 46, and that'll be most of our cruise, which is a lot quieter road. That's about 55 right there. Temp's good, half a tank. There we go. So yeah, so this car completely original, down to the paint too. I mean, it's so hard to find these older Chevys that just haven't, lived a rough life. This is a 72,000 mile car. It is not rolled over. Local guy, becoming kind of a car collector, loves original cars. Picked this up from the second owner, and second owner just been driving it, older gentleman, and hadn't done a lot of maintenance to it over the years, kind of just enough to keep it going, because in his mind it was probably just an old car. Now it's a six-figure collectible car. So it had a pretty good oil leak from the rear main seal. The convertible top cylinders were leaking, which, yes, it's got a hydraulic power top, which is pretty awesome. So we pulled the engine. We got two mechanics at Niche Motors. Our guy Brian is our go-to for the air-cooled Volkswagen and Porsche stuff, and then Brett, he does some of the late model Volkswagen and Audi. He worked at the Audi dealership for a long time. We both did, and but he does all of our American stuff. So Brett pulled the motor on this one. We did our best to clean things up. We didn't repaint anything. We just wanted it to, retain all the original patina, which is what the owner wanted. But we did the rear main seal, got some NOS spark plugs, tons of NOS parts from a local guy who kind of hoards those parts. Had the radiator sent out and gone through, had the transmission rebuilt, did a clutch, went through all the brakes at all the soft lines. 4 new tires put on, the correct size. It had some oversized tires on it. And fuel lines, just kind of your basic once-over, a really thorough once-over, because owner of this car is going to want to put some miles on it, so we want to make sure it's in good enough shape to do that. This is my maybe third time driving this car. I've already put maybe 20 miles on it. I think it's about a 15-mile drive home, and then tomorrow to take it to the muffler shop and back, we'll put another 30-40 miles on it. So all in all, about 100 test miles, rechecking everything, especially for leaks. Something interesting about this car is we don't work with a lot of deadlines, but this car is owned by the Grand Marshal of a local Christmas parade. He's the Grand Marshal this year, and he said, hey, if that 58 Impala is done, I want that car to be the car that I'm driven in the parade. So anyways, parade's this Saturday in our little town of Leapers Fork. So we wanted to get it done for him, and we're on track for that. So a little bit about me and Niche Motors. I started Niche Motors about 11 years ago, and we were in the same building for almost 10 years to the month in Brentwood. Real small, nothing to write home about building. Served its purpose though, grateful for it. Rented it from a previous neighbor of mine, but actually bought our new shop a little over a year ago, and there was a tenant in there, so we didn't actually get to move in until May of this year. And we're excited about it. It's much larger. It's on a 5-acre property, 8,000 square foot shop. We bought it. We're not renting it, so that's a big deal. if you subscribe to our channel or check out our other videos, we do have a little quick shop tour if that interests you at all. But this video here, again, hopefully the first one of, you know, a number of them that I can do. Might try to do, I don't know if I can do one a week, but maybe a couple a month. You know, just to kind of document some of the cool cars that we get to work on, some of the unique cars that I've had the opportunity to own and currently do own. Yeah, thought it'd be interesting. A bunch of our other videos on there are mostly walk around videos. Usually, you know, every time I put a video on YouTube, it was just because I was selling the car, and pictures are great, but I know when I'm buying something, if I can watch a video, especially a real video of the actual car, not something doctored up, you know, and show the dings, the scratches, you know, hear the motor, all those kind of things. I always appreciated that, so I started doing that, and lo and behold, we've had quite a few videos that have done pretty well. One of them's, I think, pushing 600,000 views of a 1949 Beetle that I found up in Michigan 5-6 years ago. That was a neat car, and that was a good day. Pulled that car out of a garage along with a 59 all original Beetle sedan and a 63 23 window bus project. Actually, fun fact, some of the original Volkswagen dealer posters hanging in our new shop waiting area were in that garage in Michigan with those cars. So if you cruise our channel, you'll see we do a lot of Volkswagen, a lot of Porsche. This one's a little different than what we typically do, but and I'll admit I'm not a Chevy guy. Don't hate me in the comments. I'm more of a Ford guy. My grandfather worked for Ford in the 50s and 60s. I pick up trucks, a 97 Ford F-250 with a 7.3 in it. I'll do a video on that one. But hard not to appreciate this car and like this car. Pretty sweet ride. 58, I believe, is the first year for the Impala, and I know some old timers will say it's the best looking one they ever did, and then in 59 they got it all wrong. Although I don't know, I think a 59 looks pretty good too. But yeah, this one here is a 58. So going back to the shop, we moved out of a town called Brentwood, which is just kind of a southern suburb of Nashville, and we moved out to Bon Aqua, which is out in the country. And if you're catching any of the background, this is my commute. Very fortunate that from the shop door to my front door, I don't hit one stoplight. I think there's maybe 3 stop signs, but no stoplights. Don't have to take the interstate if I don't want to. There's an interstate that parallels this road. It's maybe a minute faster, but obviously in something like this, I'd rather take my time. Now, check the vitals here. Temp gauge, the needle's just about a needle width on the cool side, right where we want it. Cruising 55. Everything's looking good. You know, for being a convertible, you know, you obviously lose a lot of rigidity, you know, not having a hard top connecting the chassis together. This thing drives really well. I'm impressed. I've driven some older convertibles, and you know, they're really little rattly, or you know, you can kind of feel the movement in the body a lot more. Not to say that there isn't. You know, you're not gonna beat the strength of a hardtop car, but for being a convertible, this thing drives really well. Yeah, it's a great road. Some neat houses on this road. One of my favorite picture spots is a little crossroad up here called Barn Hill Road. Really pretty. I mean, you feel like you're way out there in the country, but you're really not. You know, 20 minutes to a pretty good sized town. but you're out there enough, you're probably more likely to bump into a Dollar General than a Walmart, if you understand that reference. Yeah, driving 3 on the tree, not something we see a lot of anymore. Pretty cool though. It's a lot of fun. If you're watching this video, I assume you probably are into older cars, and maybe you've driven 3 on the tree. If you haven't, you know, a floor shift is what they call an H pattern typically. Well, just take that H and turn it sideways and put it on the column. You got reverse, up and towards you. You got 1 down and towards you. And then if you go away from you and up, that's 2, and then away from you and down, that's 3. Seems like a simple thing, but yeah, seems like a lot of people don't even know how to drive a manual transmission at all these days. I doubt they've seen a 3-speed on the column, you know, in a while. So yeah, this is where 46 crosses back over Interstate 840. 840 goes underneath Nashville, connects I-40. So yeah, what else? What else about this car? Again, not being a Chevy guy, you know, I'm sure some of the magic of this car is probably lost on me, but I'm an old car guy. I love old cars. You know, I've got cars that I own from the 50s and the 60s, and I've got one from the 70s. My new cars to me are like my 1989 Vanagon, or my truck, which is a 97, which I mentioned. I had a newer truck and sold it to go old school. It's a 5-speed too. But the majority of our business in the shop is old stuff, you know, carbureted. You know, it's crazy. Just, you got a car with a carburetor on it. If you don't know how to work on it yourself, you know, it'd be hard pressed to find a shop to even work on a car or tune a carb. You know, this one, we rebuilt this carb. Brett tuned it. You know, nice and easy. Set the timing. You know, still running points. And, you know, one of my mechanics is a big fan of upgrading stuff, you know, electronic ignition and disc brakes and whatnot. And that stuff's all good and fine. I don't mind it one bit. But if you think about 1958, you know, the guy who picked up this car and drove it home, you know, it's got 4 drum brakes. It's got ignition, you know, points ignition. And it all worked. You know, it all worked then. Why can't it work now? And it does. You know, on my older cars, you know, I still run 6 volt if they were 6 volt. I still run points in all my cars. You won't, you know, my Volkswagens and Porsches, my 356s, you won't see me putting electronic ignition in them. You know, and there's, you know, to each their own, right? And if you are running electronic ignition, just keep a spare module in the glove box, because you can limp a set of points along, get you home. Yeah, electronic ignition module goes out and you're dead in the water. But yeah, 4 drum brakes on this. Obviously, no power assist. You know, nice soft pedal, but you gotta put some leg into it to get her to stop. I have no idea what this car weighs. If I had to guess, I would say 5,000 pounds. If you know, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll put it in the old memory bank. I can tell you what Volkswagens and Porsches weigh, but not a boat like this. I keep bringing up Volkswagens, kind of an ironic crossover. The second owner of this car, the first owner of this car, out of Alabama, the guy owned a Volkswagen dealership. So the trunk of this car is chock full of late 50s and early 60s Carmen Ghia brochures and Beetle brochures, and there's even like the dealer agreement between Volkswagen of America and this guy. Pretty neat stuff. Just left it all in the trunk. So the owner of this car was kind enough to give us some of that stuff. We love old documentation. All right, we're turning left here on 46. You can't see out that window, but that's going down to Judd's house right there. They just got some Christmas lights on it. Real pretty estate. Got some horses out front. Yeah, just beautiful roads back here. If you ever get a chance to come to Tennessee, don't move here, but if you want to come visit, no, I'm kidding. It's a great place to live. We just have plenty of people moving here already. Yeah, if you get a chance to visit Tennessee, go check out Franklin, check out Leapers Fork where we are here. Beautiful roads. If you ride a bicycle for exercise, don't come here, please. I'll get some hate in the comments for that. But if you're into motorcycles, vintage cars, modern sports cars, we'll use some of those too. I got a modern sports car. I'll do a video on it. Yeah, great roads. And for the most part, the community's pretty accepting of it. So yeah, going back to me, before I started Niche Motors, I worked at, it used to be called Thoroughbred. It was the Jaguar, Porsche, and Audi dealership up in Nashville. 2350 8th Avenue South was the address. Beautiful building. The previous owner just built this just gorgeous showroom, and yeah, Sonic Automotive bought it and sold the building, had it tore down, had some apartments built, and they moved the dealerships to Cool Springs, which is south of Nashville. But yeah, when I worked there, it was Jaguar, Porsche, and Audi. I'm a big Porsche guy. Used to be a big Audi guy. The new Audi stuff's not my favorite, but I won't get too much into that. But yeah, always been into cars. Bought and sold Volkswagens mainly to pay my way through college at Middle Tennessee State University. If you think that's interesting at all, which you may not, on our website, nichemotors.com, I've got a little bio page. And the same brother who suggested I do this very long YouTube video takes care of our website. It's pretty neat. There's some cool stuff on there. We got some barn find stories. We got our current inventory that's for sale. We're big on Instagram. I say big, we're not that big, but big enough on Instagram. Post some cool stuff, so feel free to check us out if this is kind of what you're into. I know we are. But yeah, worked there, was a salesman, 2009 and 10, got promoted to the used car manager when I was 25 years old, which seemed like a great jump start to a career in the car sales world, but as a 25-year-old, I was a terrible manager. Still am a terrible manager. Managing guys twice my age, that was an interesting experience to say the least. But I was there because I liked the cars. I was friends with all the mechanics, more so than the salesmen. And yeah, just a car nut. You know, when I was a teenager, I was sweeping floors at the local Volkswagen dealership, and pretty much the only jobs I've ever had, aside from odd jobs that everybody has when they're teenagers. Painting houses, worked for a subcontractor, had a job at the mall briefly. But yeah, just always been into cars, and so when I started Niche Motors, it was important to me to be dealing with enthusiasts. Our kind of slogan or coined phrase, enthusiasts welcome. Pretty much everybody that works there is into cars. My wife included, who works there and takes care of our books. She's a car person. You got a funny noise in a car and you want somebody to find it, she'll find it. But yeah, so left the dealership 2013, brokered cars with a buddy for a few months, and learned a little bit of that side of things, and then just took the leap of faith to start Niche Motors. Kind of got pushed into it a little bit, but I'm glad I did. And yeah, 10, 11 years in, things are going well. Getting to deal with and drive cool stuff like this is, gosh, hard to call it. Hate to even call it work. It doesn't feel like work. But anyways, I won't bore you with too many details about me and my business. Back to the car. Not being a Chevy guy, I'm struggling to come up with more things to say other than it drives great. The sound of the gear shift, that action. It's like a bolt action. It's just so cool. Just so easy to drive. There's that muffler rattle, which we're going to take care of. But yeah, nice American V8, plenty of torque. Just so easy to drive, nice and smooth. It does have power steering. It's got that funky setup with the power steering pump on the front of the generator, or on the back of the generator. Yeah, not the most fun to deal with, but it works well. Still running nice and cool. Temp gauge hadn't moved. Fuel gauge has moved a little bit. No idea what this thing gets mileage wise, but it can't be much more than 10 or 12 miles to the gallon, but it's not why you drive these cars. I've been driving her easy, but I mean, there's some power under that right pedal. Oh yeah. Kind of get lulled to sleep and forget that it's got drum brakes until you hit a little sharper curve, and then you're reminded pretty quickly. But they do a fine job. Hear that clutch return spring, the pedal return spring. I have to put a little grease on that. See if we can quiet it up at all. Yeah, again, being so original, we did everything we could to maintain originality. You know, the radiator, we had it record and done properly, so it's still the original radiator. Should probably do an outside video of this car. It's beautiful. I'll post some pictures on our Instagram, and yeah, I'll see if I can figure out how to throw a couple photos in this video too. But really nice, neat car. Just crossing over the Natchez Trace. If you enjoyed this at all, let me know. If you didn't enjoy it, you can let me know that too. That's fine. I think I may do a couple more though and see how they go. Feels a little strange talking to myself, but there's millions of people that do it every day, so I guess I'm not the only crazy one. But I do like talking about cars. And if there's a car you'd like to see, you know, if you see it on our Instagram or our website, let me know. Open to suggestions, wide open. But hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed it. Just getting to the bottom of our driveway up here, so I'll cut this off. But yeah, check us out on you know, Instagram. We're not on Facebook much. You know, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you like it. And yeah, thanks for taking a drive home with me.